Listening to all that talk about food, I'm feeling really hungry right now. I'm craving a classic Steve's ice cream and fries.
Ice cream and fries, your word for that.
Ice cream and fries is fire. Will anybody validate me for this?
I'm sure this next speaker will. Coming from the great state of New Jersey, our next speaker will explore the profound impact of external validation on personal identity and self-worth. Growing up, her sense of right and wrong were largely shaped by others' reactions and the validation that comes from it, leading her to crave it. While this craving fostered strong social skills and a love for entertaining, it also caused her to hide significant parts of her identity, like her queerness and artistic aspirations.
Let's give it up for Macy Jiang as she explores growing up with conflicting values, challenging a need for validation, and prioritizing self-acceptance.
Hey guys. I'm gonna set up. Before I get started, I don't think Steve's ice cream is that good. But I respect you. I respect your choices and your opinions. Alright, so thank you guys for coming to my talk. I'm Macy. I'm a second-year architecture student, and I'll be talking about perfectionism. It's defined as the tendency to set excessively high standards for yourself and others. And one might infer from the name of my talk and the fact that I'm speaking about this that I struggle with it. So let's see why. It all starts with how I was raised. So my parents immigrated from Hong Kong and mainland China to America. Then they had me. I grew up in a very traditional Chinese household, and I'd visit China and Hong Kong a lot growing up, so culturally, I felt more Chinese than American. My parents wanted to give me the best life that they could in America, that's why they immigrated, and in turn, they expected the best from their children. So, fortunately, I was the only child that they had. So all the expectations of being their perfect kid were on me. Now, let's see how my family defined being a perfect child. Okay, so I'll go down the list. Boy, straight, academic warrior, music as a hobby, STEM. So I was set up for failure. I was not born a boy, unfortunately, but being an academic warrior, 1 out of 5 isn't that bad, right? So, all throughout grade school, I pretended to be this little ideal Chinese child, minus this boy part. I couldn't do that. I was the top of my class, first chair violin, competing in national CS competitions, only dated guys. I knew that I wasn't doing exactly what I wanted to do, but I didn't really care. I was like, oh, okay. I listened to my parents and I pursued school. I did everything that I could to be what they wanted, and their vision of this perfect Chinese child is what defined my right and wrong. It felt wrong to pursue my hobbies, so I stuck with what had been working for me. I continued to excel academically. I pursued STEM basically just for the money at that point, and instead of pretending to be perfect, at some point, I started wanting to be perfect. It was all I really had to be. I was trying so hard to be someone else, and someone that my parents would see as perfect. Even though it felt like a chore to do all this and do everything to make them happy, I felt like they sacrificed a lot, and it's something that I should do. So I worked, I did a lot of classes, I overloaded myself with extracurriculars, and I just didn't really have an interest in any of them. It just felt like something I should be doing, and it took up so much time that I didn't really have any time to think about the things I wanted to do or the person that I really was. In high school, I started having this gradual realization that maybe I was not being the person that I wanted to be. I started feeling more American than Chinese. I didn't really find STEM interesting, and I was coming to terms with being queer. So even though I wanted to be perfect, and I'd been working to uphold this image to my parents, to my family, I realized that internally, their definition of perfect was not my definition of perfect. Summer after my senior year, I went on a little family vacation in Argentina. So this is me, my mom, and my 2 aunts. They're all from Hong Kong, born and raised, and then they immigrated to different places for college. So during dinner one night, one of my aunts said to me, "You're either Chinese or you're American. I don't understand why you guys always say you're Chinese American." I know y'all are like, oh, like, that's crazy. Like, why did she say that? She didn't say it in a demeaning way. Although she was born and raised in Hong Kong, she immigrated to Australia for college and considers herself Australian. Like, she's in their parliament or whatever, so she's like, yes, I'm Australian. She doesn't really understand like the difference in culture that Chinese Americans have. But if I had had to give her an answer at that time, I would not have known what to say. I had finally started coming to terms that I felt more American than Chinese, and I didn't really understand where I stood with all of it. So up until that point, I've been told what to be for my entire life. No one really asked me like, why? Like explain your identity, like why are you like this? They're just like, okay, like you're like this, cool. And my parents were like, oh, like you're exactly how we want you to be, that's cool. We did it. But that trip was filled with a lot of questions. Like, wait, it was like really simple ones, but I was still like, what? They'd be like, what are your hobbies? I'd be like, hobbies? They'd be like, am I seeing anyone? I'd be like, oh, am I? What am I gonna study at university? Why? And am I American or Chinese? Like, girl, I do not know. So I felt unsure about everything, and I was never really able to give a good answer. I realized during that trip, I did not know who I was, and that I'd been living for others for way too long. I'd be just like on the airplane, pondering, I'd be like, shoot, I've lived like this for too long, like I gotta change. So the perfect life had been drawn out for me to live, but I did not want to live that way anymore. Like, yeah, my parents expect me to be a certain way, pursue certain things, and they would also tell me though, that the most important thing for their kid to be was happy and healthy. So that's like baseline. I'm okay with being that. The other things, I'm not so sure. Pursuing their image of what a perfect life was not making me happy, and that was not what I thought was perfect, so I switched it up a little. I applied to Northeastern as a civil engineering and architecture studies major, but after coming here, I changed my major immediately to architecture. So here's me. Pursuing architecture has been something that truly got me out of this cycle, or it started to get me out of this cycle. Not only have I never pursued art before in my life, like never, like no, like drawing skills, like no, like I did music, but like that's music and like that's different from music. The major consists of getting criticized constantly. Every single class, they call it desk crit, but it's like rejection therapy. You pitch your idea, and they're like, well, I don't really like it, but it's okay. And then the next class, you go again with like completely different thing, and you're like, okay, like it's better, but like, it's not really better. So, rejection therapy. No one is ever going to fully praise your work, and there isn't a right way you can design something. The professors will always question your concepts, tell you where you need to improve, and then they'll be like, oh, like I really like this, and then other people will be like, I do not like this, like, what's with it? Change it. So, there's no winning. Despite the insane workload and constant criticism, architecture is the first academic pursuit that I connected with on a level past monetary. So it's something that I'm interested in. I find the work fulfilling, and even though it's not STEM and it falls short of my family's idea of perfect, I'd rather do this, pursue architecture, and disappoint them now, like early on in my life, rather than fall short of my idea of happiness for the rest of my academic, professional career, the rest of my life. Although I was raised with Chinese values, I feel American in a way. I want to pursue something I'm passionate about and not something that'll set me for the future, or like not something that's like socially prestigious. It's something that I'm actually passionate about. I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it because I want to do it. So, a couple weeks ago, I got this little email that said like, hey, you got nominated to speak at PAACx. And I was like, oh, like, I have some things to say, I guess. Like, yeah. Thinking about what to talk about has been the most, like, really transforming for me. Originally, I always, like, present myself in a way where I think I'll be, like, perceived socially the best. Like, I never talk about the fact that I'm queer. I don't always dress, like, masculine. I think a lot about like how I present myself and what people will react with, and like how I'll get the best reaction, or I guess just what will benefit me the most. So, originally, I did not want to talk about being queer at all, but that goes against my entire idea of living for yourself and not caring about the expectations of others. So, on to the next. Oh, hello? I don't think this is what it's supposed to look like. Oh, I think we might be missing a few slides. Do we know how to remedy this? Shout out Aladar, trying to remedy this right now. And Emily, refreshing. Oh, okay. Wait, I'm there. We're fixed. Okay. So. Wait, I feel like this doesn't have a move. Okay. It goes against my entire idea of living for yourself and not caring about the expectations of others. So, I have always known that I liked women. Ever since I discovered the concept on Reddit at 11 years old, I resonated with it. I knew my parents would not like the concept, the idea of me being queer. They think it's like, again, they didn't say this verbatim, but like, they think it's like a little weird. Like, if I like men and women, I should just like date and marry a man. Like, why choose the other options? Yeah, so I like knew exactly what they thought and like what they'd say. So I never really told them about it. That just like slipped from the conversation. I spent a lot of time suppressing that side of myself and not wanting to show anyone, especially my family. But it's like kind of hard to not talk about who you like or like who you are as a person. So it just did not make me happy. I took small steps. I started being open about it with my friends. I started talking about the girls that I was seeing, and I allowed myself to present more masculine. I realized that I want to live as true to myself as I can, and it took me a long time to understand that there's no set definition of perfect, and there does not need to be one. You discover yourself as an individual, and through that, you understand what's ideal for you. No one can tell you what that is, and nothing's going to be perfect. Unfortunately, I do not completely live what I preach. I still hide the fact that I'm queer from my family. I feel nervous and judged when I tell people I'm an art major. But that nervousness is so much better than not living as yourself. I'd much rather be doing what I love, loving who I love, and feel happy with my life rather than living for someone else. I recognize the privilege I hold by being able to pursue what and who I want openly, and I'm extremely grateful to my friends and the communities that gave me the space to be myself. Thank you all for listening to my talk, and thank you for being a part of that community.